In a recent conversation with a client, I remarked to them that the single hardest question I ever ask someone is how much do you spend? More specifically, how much do you spend in a month? Seems like an easy question, but if we're being honest and think about it, we probably don't know. In my experience, very few people that I ask know offhand exactly what they spend in a month. But to someone that is retiring or about to retire, this information is absolutely critical. Spending is a foundational key, along with income, to understand if you're going to financially survive retirement. So if you're like me and you care about what the numbers can tell us, stick around, because in this video, we're going to take a look at some key stats on what retirees spend on average and how much income they have on average. And then we're going to discuss how to use this information to help ourselves. If you're new to the channel, my name is Crossland of Suttle, Crossland Wealth Advisors, and my mission is to help people better understand their personal finances and build more tax-efficient retirements. So no messing around, let's just get straight into the numbers. And we're going to start with average spending stats. And the first thing we're looking at here comes courtesy of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and we can see there are three different average spending segments. A general age 65 plus category, showing us $57,818 per year, or roughly $4,818 per month. Age 65 to 74, showing us $60,844 a year, or roughly $5,070 a month. And age 75 plus at $53,481 a year, or roughly $4,457 a month. Some of you keen-eyed observers probably noticed that the age of the reference person is actually 5 years higher for the 65 plus general category than the 65 to 74 age segment, but then 5 years younger than the reference person for the 75 plus segment. This could point to a potential reduction or slowing in spending as we age into retirement, but it is hard to draw any concrete conclusions from just these three numbers. And expenses are most assuredly going to be higher in 2024 and beyond due to inflation. If we dig a little deeper to understand composition of spending, well, what do we find? Well, one Harvard study showed that between 1989 and 2022, the share of homeowners aged 65 to 79 with a mortgage on their home increased from 24 to 41%. That represents a nearly 71% increase. Those 80 and older went from just 3% in 1989 to 31% in 2022, a roughly 933% increase. Median housing costs for older mortgage holders is $1,470 compared to homeowners without a mortgage at $520. And Federal Reserve data showed that retirement age Americans 65 to 74 carry just under $135,000 in debt on average, and age 75 plus still carries just under $95,000. The most common types of debt being credit card, mortgage, car loans, and installment loans. Here we see Experian telling us that the average car payment in 2024 is $644 a month, and the average credit card payment is $202. Now, sometimes you just don't have a choice and you're simply forced to retire. This could be the result of your company downsizing, or perhaps there are health issues that take you out of the workplace. But in my view, being ready to retire means you should be debt-free or as close to debt-free as possible when you enter retirement. And some of you may ask why, if I can make it work. Well, really, it's for two main reasons. Number one, so you don't fall subject to longevity risk or sequence of returns risk. And two, so more of what you spend in a month is going more towards fun or entertainment or whatever it is you want to do, not have to do. So imagine you're 65 and you're spending close to that average of $5,000 a month. Well, what if half of that is going towards debt service? What do you think the other half is going towards? Food is not exactly getting cheaper, and nor is energy. Now let's look at some income numbers and see what those can tell us about average folks in retirement. We'll get these numbers from our good friends over at the U.S. Census Bureau, but in general, for age 65 plus, we see an average income of roughly $75,000. The median, however, is $50,290 per year, which may actually be a better indicator for most folks. Averages can get skewed one direction or the other if there's an extreme outlier. Think Bill Gates being included in the average. He's going to pull that average higher. Whereas median is right in the middle of the data set. And something interesting to highlight from that previous Harvard study is that income for retirement age adults does seem to converge regardless of other factors. This is interesting because we may actually find ourselves a lot closer to the average or median on the income side as opposed to the spending side, where there might be just a lot more variability. Someone living in an expensive retirement community may have a much higher expense than somebody living at home that is debt-free, but both may have much more similar income numbers despite the gap in spending. In my years of experience, people tend to get caught up on trying to maximize retirement income as if the expenses are just going to take care of themselves if the income is high enough. And to some degree it can, but a great way to ruin your budget or deplete reserves is to be totally disconnected from spending. So now you might be asking the question, how do I use these numbers to help myself? Well, spending and income numbers are the basis by which you plan your retirement. Are you someone that plans or has to carry debt into retirement or not? Are you going to ball out of control with your budget or not? These are important questions to answer. Can the stats help us at all if we aren't sure yet? Yes, they can be a great starting point. If you have no idea what you're going to do or spend in retirement and just simply haven't thought of it yet, the averages act as a proxy. But what you should really do is take the time to understand what your situational needs are going to be once you're in retirement. Once you have a good understanding of what your income and expense numbers will be, well, now you can identify the gap. What will you spend regularly that won't be covered by the income? If you're one of the few that has more income than expenses due to things like pensions, rents and royalties, or other income factors, congrats, your situation is going to be as stable as your income sources. But if not, and you either can't reduce spending or perhaps just simply refuse to, then filling that gap has to come from investments, other assets, or income from additional work. Now, no one can seem to agree on what the safe withdrawal rate for retirement actually is, but you can use a safe withdrawal rate number plus the gap to determine what your target portfolio needs might be. I've seen the safe withdrawal rate being discussed as low as 2.7%, like videos you'll see from Ben Felix. And then on the other hand, you have guys like Dave Ramsey saying, well, 8%. You've even had the originator of the 4% rule, William Bengen, discussing an increased number back in 2021. But whatever your preferred safe withdrawal rate number is, if you want to know what you might need to cover that gap, then we need to do a little math. Here's a quick example to get you started. Let's meet Pete the plumber. He's 5 years out from retirement and wants to know where he stands. Pete estimates his income will be $35,000 per year in retirement, and after working through a detailed budget, decides that he wants to spend $70,000 per year. This gives him a gap of $35,000 per year that he needs to close. If we assume a safe withdrawal rate of 2.7%, then Pete would shoot for a portfolio target of roughly $1.3 million. If we assume 4%, then Pete would shoot for a target portfolio of $875,000. And just for fun, if we assume a couple other higher rates, we see a decreasing portfolio target anytime we increase the safe withdrawal rate. But be aware, the reason safe withdrawal rates are such a highly debated topic is because the more that you actually pull out in retirement, the more impactful longevity risk and sequence of returns risk can be, or the risk of essentially running out of money early. If you want to be more accurate, you simply have to do the work. You need to understand what your specific income and expense needs are actually going to be, and you need to run those forwards using projections that are going to affect things like inflation, return assumptions, random events, plus life events. If you want something that is more defined but simply don't have the knowledge or resources, that is when you would seek out a qualified professional. Bottom line from me is that income and expenses can vary, but I've yet to run into a single person that wants to die broke. Let me know down in the comments if any of these numbers surprised you, how your numbers differ, or the challenges you're running into in planning retirement. Once more, I'm Curtis Crossland, and if you want to see how we help folks build a more tax-focused and efficient retirement, be sure to check us out at SuttleCrossland.com and subscribe for future videos.